Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to show you the first regional variant of the year. It's been a while. I like to draw on used or misprinted paper, since often when I want to draw in my sketchbook there's like this mental barrier because I don't want to ruin the paper. But misprinted paper is already ruined, so I feel more comfortable drawing on it. Anyways, most of the time they are just random doodles or tiny creatures when I'm bored. And at one point, I don't remember when, I made this doodle of a melting Bergmite, and the German words next to it translate to water-ground Bergmite based on jungle. So apparently I wanted to make a jungle-based Bergmite. I then made a second sketch which features different layers of sediment and water spilling out of it. And I was pretty happy with that. I liked the original sketch, but it was a bit static, and the way I at first drew it in the digital rendering didn't give me the freedom to create something dynamic with the water. It originally just looked like a bowl with legs and eyes and some water spilling out of it, so I tilted it and made the water spill out even more on one side, so it looks like it's either jumping or walking around very energetically. It is basically a small walking water stream, but it didn't look interesting enough, so I added some grass on top and the pattern of sediment layers on the front of its body. And if this was a game, there would be different patterns depending on where Bergmite grew up. Basically, some parts of the rainforest have different colored layers of sediment, which then affects their body respectively. While I do not remember drawing the first sketch, I do remember that I drew it for the rainforest area of the region, since it is kinda empty as of right now. I imagined this little mon to wander through the less dense part of the forest. They sometimes bury themselves in the ground when it is too hot and the water on top of it evaporates, so they basically bury themselves and wait until it rains so they can refill their water storage. Most of the time this doesn't take longer than a day. If it ever does take longer, they wander to rivers and absorb water from there. However, they often fall in and get washed up to different parts of the rainforest. However, they can find back home or be brought back home by their sediment patterns. This would be available as a recurring side quest if this was a game, like you collect a few Bergmites that got lost and you have to match them to the right parts of the rainforest. And here it is, Jermanzburg Bergmite, a water and ground type. They can be found in the rainforest area of the Jermanzburg region, which is the ideal habitat for them to make sure they don't run out of water. I personally think it turned out pretty adorable, but please let me know your opinions in the comments. Now to the evolution, Avalugg. I kept the post the same as the original design, and now that I look at the design I wish I slightly changed it, or at least the perspective, because well, usually key art for Pokemon art, or for Pokemon, is drawn like you're on the same eye level as the Pokemon and you look at them, but for Avalugg it looks like you're looking down on it a bit, so it looks rather small. At least to me, I'm not really tall, I'm like 161 centimeters. And I don't think it's supposed to look small because the Wikipedia page says it's 2 meters, so that would be pretty large. I don't know if it means the height or the length, but still I don't think it's like this small. On the other hand, the design was a bit difficult for me to draw because of this perspective and because the different parts, or rather how the different parts of Avalugg are connected or interact with each other. Those gave me the impression of basically continental plates, but on a smaller scale. Like in the previous stage, it has different layers of sediment and grass on top. It also stores water in its body, but it can also regenerate it by themselves. So they no longer have to bury themselves in the ground and wait for rain, even though they still have the habit of doing so. The new element I added to the stage are the glowing lava parts, which actually give them the vibe of like continental plates. When walking through the rainforest, the player can sometimes encounter small earthquakes originating from Avalugg coming out of the ground after resting.
And
And here it is, Jermanzburg Avalugg. It is still a water and ground type. I wish I could get the fire type in there somehow because of the lava aesthetic, but changing any of the typings wouldn't really make sense. Like what, it does not look like a water fire or a ground fire type, and the water is a really important element, so I couldn't throw that one out, but so is the sediment part. Yeah. Anyways, Jermanzburg Avalugg get used as sprinklers when droughts in the region happen, especially by farmers to save their grain and by wildlife protectors to reduce the potential of wildfires. They are also often seen in the Moonlight Desert near water spots. This is probably my favorite regional variant I've made for the Jermanzburg region so far, especially Bergmite, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments, please leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the comments.